Good evening and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the custom 7mm PRC that I had built. We're going to talk about the components that I chose for this rifle, why I wanted to build this rifle and what it's going to be used for. We're going to talk about some costs and some numbers, so fair warning if you need to come back at a different time, I understand. And then we're going to talk about some of the things I really like about this rifle, some of the things that I would probably recommend changing if I was going to do it again, or if someone else is thinking about building a custom 7 PRC rifle, the things I would probably change. Let's start by talking about why I wanted to build this rifle. I wanted a rifle, one, that was left-handed. So I shoot left-handed. It's one of the things you're probably going to notice about this rifle. I'm right-handed, but I'm left-eye dominant. So I shoot rifles, shotguns, and bows all left-handed. I shoot a pistol right-handed, which is kind of weird. But so I wanted a left-handed gun. I wanted it to be black and red. I wanted it black and red because it could match my bow. And you'll see a picture at some point of how they match. And the other thing I wanted was it to be pretty light and extremely reliable. So this is going to be a mountain hunting rifle. And it's going to go all over the North America with me. And it needs to be 100% reliable. No matter what. I need to function 100% of the time, shoot well 100% of the time, and I want to be very confident in how this gun is going to be able to put down animals and place shots exactly where I need them. The other thing I want to do with this rifle is potentially shoot a few NRL Hunter matches. So it's a shoot NRL Hunter match. If you want to shoot the light division, it needs to be under 12 pounds with a bipod. And you also need to make power factor. The power factor, for those of you who haven't looked at the NRL Hunter match, it's pretty much a 6.5 Creedmoor. So if you beat a 6.5 Creedmoor, you're good to go on power factor. I went with 7 PRC is that I shoot a 7mm 08 in another rifle, and I really liked 7mm 08, but I wanted to be able to shoot the heavier bullets. I've shot 300 PRCs, and they're pretty hefty, and especially hefty for NRL Hunter matches. And then I've also shot 6.5 PRC, which I do really like, and it was a strong consideration to go with the 6.5 PRC, but I ended up going with the 7. So let's start out with talking about the rifle components. The base of this whole build is the Gunworks GLR steel action. This action usually runs about $1,600. However, I was able to get it on sale. I got it 50% off. And so this action I spent $800 on, about $850 after the FFL transfer, because whenever you buy an action, you just have to go through an FFL. So this action is super smooth, no problem at all. The one cautionary tale about this action is that the firing pin does have a tendency to unscrew. So make sure that the lock screw, or the set screw that you put in there, that does have Loctite and is properly tightened down. Next portion we want to talk about is the barrel. This is the probably most important part of a rifle. So I went with the Proof Research Sendero contour. The difference between a Sendero and a Sendero light contour and weight is almost negligible. It's like 1-2 ounces or something. And so I just went with the Sendero contour, get a little bit extra rigidity in the rifle for that magnum caliber. It's 24-inch length. I wanted a little bit longer barrel. It's not overly long. Next thing we'll talk about is the chassis. So this is the XLR magnesium chassis. The Gunworks is this Remington 700 clone, and so it's a Remington 700 inlet. The nice thing about this chassis is that it can be used in left-handed or right-handed rifles, which is super helpful for me because finding left-handed chassis or stocks is not the easiest, and they usually have a long lead time. So having that chassis was super helpful, that I could get the gun moving a little bit faster. What also was helpful with this chassis is that it's actually made by Viking Armament, or sold through Viking Armament. They put their logo here on the side, but I recommend checking them out if you want to get an XLR chassis quick and super high quality in terms of Cerakote. They'll do custom Cerakote colors, and they have a lot of them in stock. So I was able to get mine really quick, like within a week it shipped. I also put the folding adapter on this chassis, so that way it can fold down super small. See that? It actually will fit inside my bow case, my hard bow case, which is super nice. And then I have the cheek pad on the cheek riser, which is made by Viking Armament, and they install it for you. Next thing we'll talk about is the trigger. I went with the Trigger Tech Special Trigger. It's not their highest level trigger, but it's not their lowest, and it's done really well for me. It's set at about 2.5 pounds, which is enough to not have accidental firing whenever you're hunting, but it's light enough to not cause you issues whenever you're at the range. It's a 3-round magazine right now, and then I also have another round holder here on the side somewhere. Lose your magazine, you still got an extra round that you can feed in there and go shoot something. The scope is a Vortex Strike Eagle 3-18 by 44. I pulled it off of another gun, so I didn't get it specifically for this gun. That is one watch point that I plan to be upgrading pretty soon. So this scope has not given me any issues so far. I've shot an NRL hunter match, I've hunted with it, I shot an antelope with it last year, and it's been really good for me so far. I do plan to upgrade it to a Night Force or a loophole scope here in the future. For the brake, we have the little bastard brake, the Gen 2 one. That's another thing that I might be upgrading pretty soon. Going to the Gen 3 so that way I can get the top ports. This gun has a tendency to kind of move to the right a little bit when I shoot, so for NRL hunter matches, I want to be able to spot my impacts. And I want to push that rifle to the left, and so I'll take the screws out of the right port so it pushes the rifle a little bit to the left. All right, so that's the rifle breakdown, and let's do a weight on it next. All right, so I got a scale. This rifle does have a bipod on it right now, and it's the Harris bipod, and it does have a magazine in it. So with the magazine and the bipod, it weighs 10 pounds and 11 ounces. So that's pretty light. It's not overly light to where it's unmanageable to shoot. It's very easy to shoot this gun. But it's not overly heavy to where I don't want to carry it in the mountains. Let's go through a final cost breakdown of this gun. So I mentioned the action cost, but let's go through the rest of them. So the action I got for $850, the chamber, and Cerakote job. So we Cerakoted the action, Cerakoted the bolt handle, and then the barrel. And then that was $900. The chassis with everything on the chassis, so we have the folding adapter, the stock, and the chassis itself. Like I said, I really recommend going to Viking Armament. They have a lot of good sales that you can find. And I got this whole system for $1,200. So I got a pretty good deal on that compared to what they usually run. The barrel was $800 from, there's a bunch of manufacturers, but again, it's a proof research barrel. And then the trigger was $125. I got that one on a Black Friday sale, so it was a little bit off what it normally costs. All in all, without a brake and without the scope, so just the rifle, I spent about $3,875 for that rifle. And so the most comparable factory rifle to this is the Bergara MG Light. So they put a Remington 700 platform action, they have a carbon barrel, and they have a magnesium chassis with the folder. And that gun will run you just about $3,000 as a factory gun. And so this is a little bit more, but it's exactly what I wanted. It's left-handed, bright colors, and it's gonna really perform for me in the field here in the future. So I can't wait to take this gun hunting. It shoots extremely well. I'll post a video right now. In terms of accuracy, it shoots half-inch groups, half-inch 3-shot groups, no problem. I've done load development with the ELDX, the CX, and the ELDM bullet. And they've all shot extremely well. Again, you can see some of the powders that I've tried. I'm gonna do a whole different breakdown video of the different reloading applications that I've done. Because again, I wanted something different for NRL hunter and then hunting load. So I'll go through the different applications I did, the different things I've tried, and then different results that I've had. So I'll leave you with one thing I really like about this gun and one thing that I wish that I would recommend changing for the future. One of my favorite things about this gun that I didn't go over yet is right here, the thumb rest. So putting your hand on the gun and getting set up on it is extremely comfortable with this thumb rest, and it really helps you just make sure you have your hand in the right position and just control that recoil every time. Your hand won't slip off the gun, and just you can always be in that right position. The one thing I wish I would have changed, and this is common with all PRC cartridges, is that the chamber is pretty tight on a 7 PRC. And so if you're shooting your Peterson, your Alpha, your Lapua brass, which Lapua doesn't make 7 PRC, but I'm shooting Peterson brass. Very common to get a, what's called a click. Tight, and then right for the clicker. That's where your brass is expanding beyond what is normal for what your chamber can handle. And whenever you go to extract the brass, it's extremely tight in your chamber, and that comes with tight tolerances. The one thing I would do in the future is that Alex Wheeler has made a precision reamer that opens up the base of the chamber. So that way it allows a little bit more clearance for your brass and it prevents clickers. This is something that I would definitely do. So it's called the 7mm PRC AW2 reamer. That's what I would use next time whenever I get a chamber made. And I would really recommend that you look into that for any PRC cartridge that you're gonna do a custom rifle on. It's gonna help prevent any problems in the future with those clickers and extend your brass life. Because if you do start getting clickers really bad and you can't size that base small enough, you have to buy new brass, and that's like 3 or 4 firings that your brass is gonna last. So I highly recommend using that other reamer. It's a very small change. It's like 2 or 3 thousandths difference on the chamber diameter. Thank you for watching tonight. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments or things you wanna see, things you wanna see me test about the 7 PRC, put it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can see more of the content, especially as I go through the reloading series of this gun. And you'll be able to see the different things I've tried, hopefully save you some headache as far as reloading for the 7 PRC. I have about 500 rounds to this rifle. Every single one of them is written down here in my book. And I'd be happy to share all the data with you. So thank you for tuning in tonight, and I look forward to making more videos here.